about the whole live forever thing of like people are like, what if we could live forever? I'm like, are we sure we want that?
Yeah,
Right.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Highlander,
The next thing,
the
because you're
Highlander
thinking
was
the
pretty
next,
depressed.
the next thing
Yeah.
could be better.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you spend all your time, you live like 1,000 years and you like get to the end of it and you die and you're like, oh fuck, man. I could have gotten here like 950 years
Yeah,
ago.
especially if you're like in an old folks home for like 3 decades and then
Oh,
you're
yeah.
like, why did I do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to be in peak physical condition the entire time for that to even make sense. And then you still lose everyone around you. And that's a
Yeah.
fucking bummer.
Yeah, and then meaning must just get stripped away from things. Like, I mean, we were talking earlier, like if you go through so many relationships, it all starts to feel like meaningless. Like imagine if like you saw that much death, that many relationships end, that many people, and you just met everybody. You met like every kind of person. You're like even now, like the excitement of meeting like a new personality when you're a teenager, you're like, I never met anyone like this motherfucker.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen as much as you get older. You're like,
Yeah.
I know a guy like that. Oh, you're kind of like this guy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you're like 500 and you have to deal with like your 400th like schmoll,
Dude.
you know?
Well, I can guarantee you'll have the wisdom to know how to boke a schmoll. You know, if I'd take the advice from a 500-year-old guy and like if he wrote a book how to boke a schmoll.
Boke him.
Boke you must.
You must boke. That's how people who are 500 years old talk.
You must boke.
He will never change. He'll always not clean up after a party. It will never change. Boke him.
So Jonathan, you're 500 years old. What's the most important thing you've learned in life?
That buddy you have who hits on everyone's girlfriend, boke him.
Wow.
It's not cool.
So you're saying that in 500 years of living on this earth, you've been through the Renaissance. You've been through the Revolutionary War. You've been through the Civil War. You've been through all those wars. You've been through the Industrial Revolution. You've been through the Civil Rights Movement. The most important thing you've learned is that you need to boke the schmoll?
Absolutely. And in those times, I've hung with the greatest of luminaries, the largest influences and minds of those eras. Robert E. Lee, Henry Ford, Martin Luther King Jr. They all wrote letters or called my girlfriend.
So they were schmolls?
Schmoles. So I boke them all. Later.
How'd you boke Henry Ford?
I drove a competitor's car.
A Chevy?
A Chevy Silverado. I drove it into him.
You ran Henry Ford over.
I did.
And we're told that you ran him over and then you teabagged him?
I did. As I have to many other great luminaries.
So what do you say to Kevin?
King Richard,
You bagged
the Lionheart. I bagged him.
Who
I
else?
still think about it. That might have even been... I might be older than 500 years old.
And you bagged...
Winky.
I've heard a tale that you bagged Herman Melville.
I did.
Wow, the writer of Moby Dick. You...
Check out this Moby Dick.
Yeah. I said, hey. I was on top of him and I said, I'm having a whale of a time.
And you had Oscar Wilde tabletop him?
Mm-hmm.
And then you gave him the Moby Dick bag?
I used to punk Melville a lot. I'm not proud of it. And there are many days in my centuries-old life when I reflect on the bullying I perpetuated on that kind soul. Flicking ears, noogies, wet willies. Historically the most disrespectful of bullying. And teabags. I teabagged him almost every day. Every page of that book, he said, was erasing one day of teabagging that I perpetuated on his face.
Wow.
Or perpetrated. He's more of the word guy.
So essentially Captain Ahab is your sack?
I never read his fucking book. The guy would never shut the fuck up. I don't need to read your fucking piece of shit book.
Yeah, he's a schmoll.
He was a schmoll.
And you also in your book that it says that you teabagged Napoleon Bonaparte.
That one was easy. Because he's short.
Yeah, you didn't even have to push him down. You just bagged him as he stood.
He thought he was like walking under like an arch. And then I just said, I was acting all still. You know, I'm pretty good at the physical stuff. It's kind of like my bread and butter comedically, at least for a couple centuries. And he walked under and I just said, oops.
What's up, guys? That was a sample clip from our Patreon-only episode. If you want more bonus content each week, go to patreon.com/chatgoesdeep, subscribe to Going Deep with Chad and JT, become a patron, and we'll see you there.